There is one crucial skill that accounts for nearly all of my success in dropshipping. And if you are someone who is currently testing products and hasn't had your first winner yet, then most likely you just have not developed this skill enough. But thankfully, this is a skill you can learn. And once you get it down, you can make nearly any dropshipping product into a $1,000 a day winner. So in this video, I'm going to give you a full blueprint to learning the most crucial skill of all, the number one thing that is going to differentiate you from all the other dropshippers selling the same product as you, which is direct response marketing. That is the number one thing. Being able to convince and persuade someone that they need your product and knowing what psychological human triggers that you can press and tap on to control them like they're a bunch of ventriloquist dummies at your control. You're pulling the strings here, but you need to know how do you actually control these people in a good way to persuade them to buy something that's going to actually help their lives. So before we get into it, with great power comes great responsibility, Spider-Man. So promise me you're only going to use this for good, all right? Appreciate it. By the way, you're looking really good today. Thought someone had to tell you that. I mean, how else am I supposed to develop my parasocial relationship with you if I'm not giving you constant compliments and praise? All right, let's get into it. So if I was to learn direct response marketing as a complete beginner, and let's say I'm trying to sell this water bottle, where would I go about starting to sell a water bottle? Well, for me first, I need to understand who is my target market. Who are the people that are buying this product the most? And how do you do the research to come up with that idea? Because you don't want to make the assumption that, oh, because I'm part of the target audience that has bought this water bottle, therefore everyone that buys this is like me. Because that might not be the case. You never want to make any assumptions about why someone's buying your product and who is buying your product. You only come to those assumptions or those guesses, I should say, based on the research that you've done. So the first fundamental step of understanding direct response marketing is doing the research. This is really where you can differentiate from every other dropshipper because they're usually just too lazy to really research for even an hour who they're marketing to. They just want to waste money and spend it and just rip some ads, rip a description, and say, that's me putting my A game into this. That is my full effort, which if that's the case, that is an absolute travesty and you don't deserve to be successful. So when I'm selling any product, like a water bottle, for instance, the first thing I have to do is go on to Amazon and read reviews. Go on to competitors who are selling water bottles and read the reviews. Watch videos online of people reviewing that water bottle or similar water bottles and get a sense and write my notes down as to why people are buying the product, what problem are they trying to solve, what benefits do they like about this water bottle, what were they trying to avoid pain-wise that other water bottles have that they didn't like, so that I can really understand and get into the mind of my customer. You have to have the emotional intelligence and put yourself into the shoes of your customer because you are not your customer. You will only be able to do this by just turning off your brain, turning off the assumptions, and just reading what's right in front of you. And the more you dig, the more you learn, the more you research, the better your copywriting and direct response marketing will be. Because the more relatable your copy is, the more someone that can connect to your copy, the more they feel like you understand them, the more likely they are to buy from you. So it first starts with doing that research, that basic level of research of usually having a Word doc for me that is covered in copy and pasted reviews from Amazon, from competitors, and I usually will have 5 to 10 pages worth of notes. And also I will take some of the best copy ideas, headlines, benefits that I saw that my competitors used that I thought were really, really solid. And maybe I'll rework those, or maybe I'll literally rip them as is. I mean, there's no real penalization for plagiarism. This isn't middle school anymore. However, if you just copy an entire description from someone, then you're really not differentiating whatsoever. So it's like, why buy from you when they can just buy from the main person who's already selling the product? So you do have to differentiate a little bit. Now, once you understand your target audience and you know your customer, something that is a little bit underrated that most people do not think about consciously is awareness levels. There is going to be a certain awareness level that your target audience is for any product. So for a water bottle, for instance, do people know water bottles exist? Yes, they are solution aware. So therefore, at that level of awareness, I need to market to people and tell them, here's why my water bottle is better than your current water bottle. Now, you may be wondering, isn't that how you market any product? Well, in the majority of cases in dropshipping, yes. But there are definitely some cases where you actually have to convince people why they need a water bottle, the concept of a water bottle in general, because they don't have it, because they don't realize they have a problem. So for instance, an example of that could be the shower head filter. Most people don't realize that they are showering with hard water that is causing them to have skin breakouts, just like myself right now. I know it looks terrible. Ugh. I haven't been exfoliating, doing my 12-step routine. I need my CeraVe, but most people don't realize they're showering with hard water that is causing them to have skin problems or dry, brittle hair. They're not aware. They're not solution. I mean, they're in that case not even problem aware, which is another stage of awareness. So in that case, when you're marketing, you actually have to make them first problem aware of telling them, hey, you have this problem and here's the solution. Now, there is also the stage of people are problem aware. They do know they have a problem, but they don't know what's the best solution. So in that case, that could be someone who is dealing with skin problems and they don't know what's the best solution to get rid of the acne scars or wrinkles because they tried maybe a big brand. Maybe, I know there's a dermatologist place. I'm blanking on names. Unfortunately, my Alzheimer's is kicking in right now. Terrible timing. But there's a lot of different cosmetology brands. You can also just go to a dermatologist in general and get some formula made. They could use CeraVe. And maybe they tried all these things or they've researched all these things, but they don't know what's going to be best for them. So in that case, that person is problem aware. They know they have a problem. They want to solve it, but they don't know what's the best solution. So that's where you step in and tell them why your solution is better than the others. And how do you do that? Usually by saying that yours is a faster solution, an easier solution to implement, or it's the most affordable solution. Those are the three key triggers that usually are going to make someone choose a product over another option when they are in comparing different options to solve that one problem. Now, other things to keep in mind. Once you know your target market, once you understand their awareness level, the next key thing, and this is a huge thing on your website, arguably the number one most important thing, is nailing your offer and your guarantee. You need to be able to come up with an irresistible offer that is going to make that target market who is ready to buy today instantly pull out their credit card. Now, how do you do that? Well, your offer is solely based on one equation, and that is the value price gap. You need to convince your target market that the value of your product is 5 to 10x greater than the price they are paying, because if they feel like the price they're paying is more than the value they're receiving, then they are never going to buy from you. And so how do you increase the value? Because let's say, for instance, I'm selling this product for $30. I need to convince someone that this is worth $150, $200, $300. Oh, tastes wonderful. The smooth, refreshing taste of some tap water. Now, how do I communicate $150 worth of value? Well, first, I need to understand who's my target market, because it could be athletes, it could be everyday people, it could be older people, you don't know. But once you're clear on who it is, then you need to understand what is making them buy the product. Where can having this product in their life add value? What are the use cases? So when you have this water bottle, it's going to keep your water cold 24/7 throughout the day. So if you're working outside in the blistering sun, you have the peace of mind of knowing your water is always going to be ice glacier cold. I'd have to work on that a little bit, but that could be a specific use case if you're someone who works outside, or if you're an athlete and you live in a hotter climate. And most water bottles, they do warm up. The water does taste terrible. So this is a great alternative to that. It also has maybe some proprietary technology, or with this case, it has a nice little 2-step cap. So that way I don't spill on myself, because a lot of bottles are very finicky and they have very weak covers, heads, whatever you want to call it, caps, that just aren't as good. So there can be a few key features about your product that you turn into benefits. And that's one of the big basis of copywriting in general. You don't list off features. You mention how those features, though, are benefits. So for instance, if I had a product like this charging phone case, super cool. It gives me an extra, I would say 100% of battery. Now, why is that useful? Well, if you're traveling on the go and you need some extra battery life, or if you're at a concert where you're going to be recording and you know your battery is going to get low, you have, again, that peace of mind of knowing you have a separate backup battery. Or if I had a phone that has 15 gigabytes of storage, you have all that storage so that you can create endless memories without having to delete and make space for new ones. That's some copywriting riz right for you. So feature to benefit. Why does that feature matter? If the feature does not matter and you can't illustrate why that feature either solves a pain point or a problem, then you shouldn't be talking about that feature whatsoever. And I see a lot of beginner copywriters just feel like, oh, this is adding value, mentioning every single feature in the book. The reality is, for nearly any product you sell, there's going to be 2 to 3 main reasons why someone is buying that product. And you need to get crystal clear on what those 3 reasons are and articulate those benefits in the headlines to sell those points better than the rest of your competition. Because you probably have a good understanding with any product generally why someone would buy. Maybe it's to lose weight. But then can we say that lose weight line better than our competitors who are probably saying, hey, this will help you shred off that stubborn belly fat. Maybe we can say and be more specific and say, this will help you drop 2 pant sizes in the next 30 days. That's a very specific claim, headline, and offer that can help us stand out compared to everyone else selling the same product. And we could even have a guarantee that says that if you do not lose 2 pant sizes in the next 60 days after trying our product, you can get a full money back guarantee. You can get your money back and more. If I was someone who was a little skeptical about trying your product and that was your guarantee, I'm most likely going to try out your product. So your offer and your guarantee that's attached to your offer also increases the value and makes that value price gap shift. Because the bigger that value compares to your price, the more likely someone is going to buy. Now, talking about a few other things. I know that was a lot. Let's get into a little bit of actually writing your copy. When it comes to copy, how I like to think about it is with them. What's in it for me? Every single line of your copy in your scripts for your ads and in your product description should be answering what's in it for me. You should not have any lines that if I'm a customer reading that does not apply to me, because your customers are egotistical. We're just thinking about me, 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 me. And I can guarantee when you're shopping on any website and you're reading that description, you are just thinking, how does this apply to me? How does this benefit apply to my life? And if it doesn't, you're going to scroll right by and you're probably going to ignore reading the rest of the description that might apply to you because you're like, this doesn't really speak to me. So you can't have even one line that's off. So you have to do your due diligence, do your research, and understand what are those main pain points, what are those main benefits, those main use cases that really are going to speak to my target audience and are specific to their lives. So what's in it for me is the number one frame of mind you have to have. Now, when it comes to writing your copy and articulating these words, I like to think of it as if you want to appeal to the most people as possible and have the highest conversion rate, you need to dumb down your copy. You need to be writing at a 6th grade level. Anything above that, you are going to start to alienate people. So there's a great tool called Hemingway Editor that I put all of my product descriptions through, and it will tell me, oh, this sentence is too long, or this word, you should use a synonym that's a little bit more relatable. Or you can spice things up by using this adjective instead. So there's little tools and little things and little practice tips that you can go through when you're writing your copy and you're doing it over and over and over again to really nail it down. Because the first time you do this, guys, it's not going to be perfect. I know it took me probably well over a year to really learn how to do this properly. And it took a lot of reps, 40 plus product tests, at least to get it down. It's not going to be something you pick up and is a quick little fix that you can implement today and you're instantly making sales. But I can guarantee if you are more cognizant of these different things that you're doing that you're probably doing wrong, and if you think about with them and you think about mentioning features into benefits and you think about that value price gap, then suddenly all the decisions you're making, if they are in direct response to handling those problems and communicating the value, then you are going to notice yourself having more winning product tests. And it's not because of your product research changing at all. It's just because your marketing got dramatically better. Now, let me just look through my notes real quick. Again, Alzheimer's, to see if there's anything else I really wanted to mention. I think a great line is that, and I learned this from my first mentor, is that people don't buy your product or service. They buy the outcome of it. People do not sell the flight, you sell the destination. You don't sell the steak, you sell the sizzle. No one is actually buying your product. They're buying the solution. So when you're marketing and when you are writing your copy to persuade someone to buy, the only outcome that you should be talking about is how this is going to add value to their life or solve a key pain point that has been bothering them. Those are the two main psychological triggers that people are really trying to get. And if you understand that in a lot of cases, fear is the most powerful objection, people would rather move away from pain than get pleasure. So if you understand that fear is actually probably the biggest psychological trigger in regret and FOMO, then you need to incorporate that somewhere in your description, somewhere in your script. And when I look at all of my best winning products right now, they're doing over 50 grand a month. The number one psychological trigger we're hitting every single time is that fear of mentioning, here's the problem, of here's what your life is going to be like if you don't solve this problem. It's going to get worse. So while you still have time to solve this today and get rid of this problem, make sure you act upon that. So in a lot of cases, how you get people to buy is you make them realize how bad that problem is, because we all have problems. We can't solve all of them. I have my own problems in my life. I don't even know how to talk to women. I scare them away. But why do I need to solve that right now? Why is that such a big deal? You have to be able to convey that picture and make people realize that they have that real nagging issue that they probably are aware of, but they don't think about it consciously all the time, to get them to make a decision, to get them to take action. And that's what direct response marketing is, getting people to take an action. You don't just give them information and then say, all right, have a great day. You convince them and persuade them that they need to change their life. And those motivational triggers are a lot of times fear-based. Now, is there anything else I feel like you should know? Because I don't want to overwhelm you. Now, I do get this question a lot of people saying, hey, what book should I read on direct response marketing? I would say there's 3 key books that I really love that will give you all the basics and fundamentals. Breakthrough Advertising, Boron Letters, and anything by Dan Kennedy. I love The Ultimate Sales Letter. All 3 of those books are written by some of the greatest copywriters to this day that give you fundamental direct response principles that are still applicable 40, 50, 100 years after it's going to be written. If you read those books, that will give you a solid foundation. And then in terms of other things you can do to study, I would highly recommend whenever you see a good ad in your feed, save it. Note down why you were watching that ad, why it inspired you, what hooks were they doing, what visuals, what pacing were they doing, how did they do their editing, so that we can apply those little tips, those little nuances that they're doing into our own marketing. Whenever you see a good product description or website, save it. Ads, save it. I use a tool called Foreplay, where I have all these different boards where I'll save all these ads and I label them in different concepts of, oh, this was a great problem solution ad. Oh, this was a great before and after ad. So then that way, when I'm making my own ads, I don't want to just come with a blank slate and try to come up with an idea for a new product and how to advertise it on my own. No, I want to get inspired. I want to look at what other great brands are doing, take those ideas. That will get me into this flow state to write the best copy and to create the best ads. So I really recommend creating that board, creating that Google Drive, if you have to, of ad references and website references for when you are creating and preparing a new product test. If there's really anything else I can give to you, I'd say make sure you're split testing everything, because the best marketers, even with years of experience, never get that messaging right the first time. So split test your headlines, split test your offer, split test your guarantee, split test your advertising messaging, your hooks, everything, because the best marketers are data analysts. They will test these different hypotheses and test these different ideas after doing their research and then figure out what is working the best. But you have to throw a bunch of things at the wall that are educated guesses, not just, oh, I think this is going to work. No, I did my research, and based on the research, I feel like these are going to be the main talking points that they care about, and here's the best way to present this information. And once you throw it out into the market and you test these different ideas, then you react to the data and double down what's currently working for you. That is what the best marketers do. And you keep adjusting, you keep improving, iterating, because even if you have a winning product right now, it can always be better. The marketing is never perfect. You never have the perfect offer, the perfect price point, the perfect headline, the perfect ad creative, the perfect concept, the perfect messaging. All of that stuff only comes with time, iteration, and split tests. And that's why I'm such a huge proponent and advocate for always split testing everything that you're doing, and not just, oh, let me throw up 3 ads and I'll do one offer, and if it doesn't work, then that's the product's fault. No, it's not the product's fault. It's you for being so uneducated and testing your product half-heartedly. All right, so I think that's everything I wanted to cover. I know usually at the end of these, I talk a little bit about my life, so I'll tell you a little bit about my weekend if you still care about me yapping. So on Friday, I went out and I probably had the most complete social night of my life. I mean, here's the tea, girly. So I went out, did my line dancing, got there early, around 8. I know, usually most people go out at like 11, 12 if you're a normal person. I go there at 8 because they teach classes. So I was in this class and there was this guy next to me who was new, and I kind of done a few classes. So I was teaching him, cool black dude. We were vibing, went to the bar, we're talking, he introduced me to his friends. We became a little group and they were really friendly, really kind, super funny people. And eventually it gets a little busier around 10, 11. So people are coming in, and usually at this bar I go to, the ratio of women to guys is nuts. It's 4-1. So many blonde, tall, beautiful women, just my perfect type. But eventually my friend that I was going out with, my best friend, Dylan, he gets there at 10. I talk to him. We look around and there's no blonde biddies. And we're like, what happened? Is there a drought? Did they all get just swept away in some sort of hurricane? I mean, I don't know. It was demoralizing, but we had to pivot. We had to adjust. We had to split test. And I saw these 2 gorgeous island girls. One was Haitian, one was Dominican. I don't know why I have such a thing with Haitians. I mean, it just happens naturally, but they were gorgeous. And they walked by me and they went to the other side of the bar. And I was at one side of the bar. They were at another side of the bar. And this is a huge place where it has like 4 bars in it. It's a lot. So I let an hour pass, and I'm still talking to the cool black guy, making some friends. I even went to the bathroom that's right next to where the girls were. And when I was in the bathroom, there's these 2 50-year-old dudes who could not speak a lick of comprehensible English. They were speaking in Cajun, which if you don't know what Cajun is, if you're European or just not an American, true American, it's basically gibberish redneck talk, where it's like, hey, yeah, man, we're going to get laid tonight. That's what I heard one of them say. Like, we're going to get laid tonight. It was like this 50-year-old dude. He looked homeless, and he was with his buddy. They were on a bachelor trip to Fort Lauderdale, which is where I was at. And I was like, oh, you guys trying to get laid tonight? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, well, luckily you just ran into the mayor of Fort Lauderdale. So if you need any girl, you let me know and I'll make it happen. And they're like, holy, you're the mayor? And they dapped me up, and then they bought me a beer like an hour later because we ran into each other a few times. And I was like, I love these guys. I was just like so social because I just opened my mouth, because I've had such a problem for a while. I have Asperger's, so I have trouble communicating with people. I have trouble just opening my mouth. I'm just always thinking. So I just decided to stop thinking, stop looking at my notes app on how to talk to people, and just made observations. Just talk to people. Said like, hey, I like your shoes. Or, hey, do you need help with that? Or blah, 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 blah. Just opened my mouth. And it was easily the best night of my life. Because eventually, at around 11, the 2 island girls, I'm over here, they're here, start walking right next to me to order a drink. And immediately, I'm like, wow, thank my lucky stars. So I went up to them because I saw them dancing already. And I was like, wow, I didn't know you girls were veterans here. I mean, you guys have some moves. So they laughed, got to know them a little bit, did a little back and forth. And I asked them how, I didn't even ask them. I never asked a woman how old she is. But they asked me how old I am, because they're like, oh, we're 29. And I was like, ruh-roh, yikes. And I'm 23. So whenever I say my age, they're going to be, you already know I'm going to get talked down to like I'm a boy. So I initially say, well, I'm old enough to take care of you. You know, I pay my bills. I got my car. I got my condo, my investment properties. I'm a big boy. But then they do ask again. And I say 23, and they're like, oh my God, you're a baby. And I'm like, ugh, I'm a foot taller than you. You're the baby. You're 5 foot nothing. But eventually, so I kind of have no expectations. I don't care. Like, we're just talking, having a good time. We're dancing together a little bit. When there's a good song, getting to know each other. She was a property manager, the chick I was into. And then eventually, gets to around 12, had a great conversation for about an hour. We're vibing. She's like right next to me, and she's also wearing jeans, so she has the little belt loops. So I put my finger in the belt loops and just pull her close. So we're basically like a few inches away from each other the whole time while we're talking. Like, eye contact's right there. A lot of sexual tension. So I'm like, hey, I'm going to go downtown. It was great meeting you. Let me get your number. So I get her number, and I say, I got to go find my friend because I haven't seen him all night. Which, yeah, he was talking to some girls too. I mean, that's just a side mission. Tag team duo. What can we say? We got game. But I say to her, So I got to go find him, and this is going to be a very dangerous quest. I may not make it back in one piece. This bar's full of traps and evil do-goers, or just evil villains, whatever. So in case I don't make it back and we never see each other again, can I get a good luck's kiss? And she's like laughing, and she's like, I wouldn't be opposed to that. So then we just start making out at the bar. I feel bad for the bartender. I knew the bartender, and we were really good friends, and we were even making jokes with her. So she had to witness that, and I felt kind of bad. It was a lot of PDA. But then I go find my boy. We go downtown. And I even asked her before I left, I'm like, hey, you should come with us. And she's like, I don't know. I think I'm going to call it a night. And I was like, yeah, it makes sense. I mean, you're a grandma anyways. It's probably way past your bedtime, just nagging her. So eventually we go downtown, 12 o'clock, go to a club. And then I went to another bar without my friend because he wanted to stay in one bar with this girl he was talking to who used to work at the bar. When we got into that bar, it was a nightclub. We got into the VIP because of her, and every dude knew her. They were like, oh, here comes trouble. And I was like, oh, Dill, do not put your schlong in this woman. You're going to catch everything in the books. This is not a wifey type. And he's like, yeah, I know, but she's fun. And I was like, yeah, she is. So eventually I go to another bar, chilling. And then at 2 a.m, my friend Dylan calls me 7 times. And I didn't notice because I don't check my phone. I was living in the moment, people. Because I entered this other bar solo, which usually I hate doing. But I entered it. I looked at a dude. He looked at me. And I went like this. And then he went like this. And I was like, all right, cool. We're boys now. So then I just like immediately introduced myself. He was he was with his boys. He introduced me to his boys. And I was like, wow, it's that easy to make friends with dudes. Awesome. So my friend calls me 7 times. And then eventually he's like, answer your FaceTime. So I answer it. And I was like, yeah, what happened, dude? Like, did something happen? Are you okay? And he's like, look at me right now. And he points the phone at his face. And then he pans it to the left. And the Haitian girl is right next to him. And I was like, oh my God, she came out. I told her I was going to that bar, but I left early because I didn't want to be there. So I run over there, start dancing, start chatting some more. Just great night. Then I walk her back to her car, her and her friend. And the friend gets into the car, and then it's me and her outside of it. And then can't say anything more. All I'll say is I got a workout in because I grabbed her by her butt and I lifted her up and she wrapped her legs around me and I was holding her for a good minute. I was like, all those curls are paying off right now, boys. So get into the gym because when you are lifting 140 pounds for a minute while you're making out, you can't look weak. If your arms are shaking, she is never going to talk to you again. And I was as steady as a concrete pillar. So good night. Fun time. Hope you guys learned a thing or two about direct response marketing and you didn't get too distracted by my girl talk. And I'll see you in the next video.